Yes.
Sweet.
Yes.
There's 4. So we have a quorum. So we're going to go for it. I appreciate everybody dialing in, and it's the first meeting of the new calendar year. Hopefully you all got the agenda. So for now, I'll act as the chair, but we're going to figure out who the new one is here, hopefully soon. So we're calling the meeting to order, and we'll roll into old business. The first one is the neighborhood watch update. I don't necessarily there's anything new on that, but I'll ask Michael if she knows anything.
I don't have an update. I know a group was meeting prior to COVID days, and it seemed like we were on a really good roll and getting community kind of quadrants put together, but then COVID hit. So I don't know if Trudy knows more, if anyone has been talking, that Chief and I weren't a part of.
There hasn't been any other meetings or discussion, so I have nothing really to add. Unfortunately.
I think there's a good group ready to get started when we, can
Yes.
kind of have more coordinated meetings and gatherings.
Yeah, as we get out of extreme risk condition, we'll look at putting the meetings back together again.
Yeah.
3.2 is the civil defense siren. So I spoke with both the city administrator in Florence and as well as her community services person who kind of manages their tsunami warning sirens. So anecdotally, her comment was, number one, you need more than you think you need because the sound doesn't carry that far. So I believe she told me she had 7 in Florence, and they mount them primarily on utility poles, and they're connected to their dispatch. They're the dispatch that they use, and that's who could control the siren. And they do have a daily test, and they get and it lets them know if they're working, because they do get ones that stop working because of all the proximity to salt water. And so their citizens will call and tell them that they've stopped working. So that kind of legitimizes the reason to have a test once a day. She did say that they've noticed and a citizenry tends to over rely on them. So they ignore other sort of methods they could use to get notified, whether it be checking websites or signing up for notifications, or listening to the radio station to see if those things occur. So that was her only warning. And as far as the budget goes, they still haven't got back to me on the actual installation costs and the setup costs, but they do budget close to $3,000 a year in maintenance costs because they do break, and not infrequently. So I guess when we get back together again, hopefully they will have gotten back to me with their purchase costs. They bought them 10 years ago, but it'll give us some idea of what we're looking at for a cost for this thing. They were installed by, well, at least they're maintained by a company called Day Wireless, which is in Eugene, and I'm going to talk to them next and see what they know about the thing.
Question on that, Brian. Did they get any federal help on paying for theirs?
That's the irony, is that they didn't. It's not really a federal system.
Okay, I
Yeah.
just ask it out because
Some people assume that the tsunami thing is a federal thing, but it's they did not get any help with it,
Okay.
as far as I know. They may have applied for a local grant and gotten it, but they didn't mention
Okay.
that. I'll ask the question
Yeah,
when they get
I'm
back
just
to me with the infrastructure.
checking me back on that because I was
Yep.
looking at the cost and seeing what.
So yes, so as soon as I get the infrastructure cost and installation cost, I'll bring it back hopefully next meeting. Any questions on the civil defense siren?
No, right here. Referring to us, what is that?
Yeah, you missed the meeting. We talked about it in detail, but the idea is that particularly after the wildfires to the north and to the south, the idea was this community, the thought was perhaps this community could benefit from a siren that would go off and tell people it's time to get out. And maybe and for the people that couldn't get themselves out, get them to a mustering point where you could either get them going one way or the other, depending on where the fire told you to go.
Okay.
So as a committee, we were tasked with looking into the civil defense siren and what it would take, what it would cost, and that kind of thing. and making a recommendation to council.
Little injection I'd like to put on that now is, could that be tied into a warning system coming from the dam?
Well, that's the thing. It would be the same siren, and it's one of the complexities with it. How do people know whether it's a wildfire or the dam broke?
Yeah, a lot of times time of year.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it is opposite times a year, but it could be, you know, what about a
Variance.
biochem railway mishap where you got to get out?
Yeah.
So it gets more complex as you look at it. So
Well, I tell you, as personal experience, I once flew up in the air when these fires were going on.
Yeah.
We need something like that, believe me.
okay. Let's see. I don't think there's any update on law enforcement ordinances because I just haven't had time to finish them off. I know that Michael and the chief have looked at them. It is upon me now to go through and kind of give them a chop. And then at that point, I'll bring them to the committee to review and make recommendations. And then we'll try to get them together in a format for the council. Any questions on law enforcement ordinances? Okay, we'll move on.
Little gal's trying to talk there.
Who's that?
Cameron?
Cameron, are you trying to pitch in? Let me see if I can unmute you because I can't hear you. You try pound, I think it's *6 on your phone. That might, there you go.
How's that?
That's
Okay, yay. Blah, blah. Okay, so once you get the ordinances ready to go, that's when you're going to send out each ordinance to whoever it is you want to research, correct?
Well, as a committee,
Like
we'll
you'll
talk about
be
it. As a committee,
right. Okay.
I'd say we talk about it and see and decide how you want to review them. Do you want to have them in a central location? Everybody gets a chop on all of them, or you want to assign one to a committee member to look at and present? So we'll talk about that.
I like, yeah, I believe that the idea is to have you separate and divvy up the ordinances so everybody has a workload. Is that correct?
Well, as a committee, we can decide that, how we want to do it.
Okay, got it. Okay.
Good. Any others on the ordinances? Okay, we're up to new business and committee rules and procedures. So first, this is the first meeting of the calendar year, and as you know, Councilor Forkham, prior Councilor Forkham, can no longer be the participate as a counselor. He might come back as a citizen, but he has not applied yet. So with the 4 remaining folks, we need to either you can wait till you have more people on board and appoint a chair each session, or you can choose to vote in a chairman right now and nominate somebody and vote them in. So
Does the mayor suggest a particular council member that would be suitable for chair?
no, with the way the new resolution is written, it is up to the committee who the chair is. You will have a counselor member of the committee, which has not been officially chosen yet, but it's up to the committee who actually chairs the committee. So that's why I kind of throw it out. If you want to wait until you get the counselor on board and then talk about voting a chair in, we can do that. And just meeting to meeting, we can elect a chair to manage that meeting.
I nominate Larry, and then if he doesn't want to do it, the gal that came in second, Cheryl, is it Cheryl?
Cheryl is not a member of the committee.
Okay, who came on after Larry? What committee member joined the committee
Trudy,
directly after Larry?
I
Then
don't know.
nominate Trudy if Larry doesn't want it.
I don't know the order they came to, and so I'd recommend you phrase it in the form of a motion and nominate one person and see if you get a second.
I nominate Larry. Sweet.
Do I hear any second?
I can second that.
Okay, we get a second from Trudy Hammond. Any discussion on that?
Do you want to do it, Larry? I guess we
Yeah.
should ask him.
For one meeting today, I guess, why not?
Well, this
It's just
would be
me.
the chair. So if you don't want to do it,
No, I don't want to do it permanently.
Oh, okay.
Then let him do it today.
We can
Okay.
wait then for a counselor. I suggest we wait for a counselor once the counselor's assigned and then go from there.
so as a committee, you want to make a motion to wait until we have a bigger membership and the councilor as a board?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion that we wait until we have an assigned counselor to the Public Safety Committee before
Right.
choosing a chair.
I'll second that.
And a second from
I
Larry.
second.
Uh,
Yeah.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes. So next is 4.1.2, which is just a code of conduct review. I think each of you should have signed one of these when you joined the committee. If not, I have
don't
some
know.
here.
Don't remember.
You don't
if we
remember?
did or not.
But,
You did?
I think we did.
can't recall.
don't
I
remember.
did.
Here.
Okay.
I can sign again. I
Yeah.
think. Same
So
ones we signed before?
just a quick review. You know, we all signed these and agreed to abide by the code of conduct about how you conduct yourself in a meeting, how you make decisions, communication, open communication, advocacy, and improper influence. So anybody have any questions about the code of conduct or how we should conduct ourselves in meetings? And
Would that also include when we have tasks assigned and then the chain of command and how things are agreed upon when we follow through with tasks? Is that what you're referring to?
it's a little more broad than that. It's more just about behavior and compliance. I mean, the committee can set up whatever structure they want when it comes to how business is done, as long as it complies with city ordinance. But this is more about just, you know, undue influence. Your role as a committee member versus, you know, what you do, you present recommendations in writing to council. That's really kind of what the purpose of the committee is. And it's not as a person, you know, it's the committee itself has to be the one that agrees that that goes forward that way to council. So,
One question.
Yep.
What about your interaction with council members as a personal individual? Is that,
as long as you don't, you know, incorrectly represent the committee's position,
yeah. No, I'm
as an
just
individual,
Just as a person.
yeah, you're fine to communicate with your counselor. I mean, they are your counselor.
Yeah, okay.
No problems there.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Any other
So,
questions? Yeah.
I was wondering about, I was doing some researching and I found something about a public safety task force, which what I took from it was that I believe that a public safety task force is necessary to be developed with discipline specific to legally guide the implementation of statutory obligations of ordinance, charter, and state level goals in addition to our public safety committee. So I was wondering if maybe that was something that we might want to develop, like a specific task force, somebody like a team that actually does some so to say legwork in the emergency situations and with the scenarios around town that involves this public safety for streets. I mean, from minor to major, like a special task force. Just food for thought.
Yeah, I guess the only thing I would be concerned is that we don't let it interfere with what would be normally staff work for the city staff, both in the police, fire, and public works. So I guess I'd have to have some more sort of in-depth ideas on what that task force would do.
If I might say, if we have a task force, I would very much like to be a part of it. However, I think the majority of the communication ought to filter down through the chairperson if we do something like that. So that way, duties and what we actually are trying to accomplish do not get interfered with any kind of other outside influences involving communications or the way in which we need to communicate in order to accomplish what we are assigning or what we are volunteering So that way time is not wasted, lives are not lost, and so on and so forth. And behavior is held in best regard.
My idea with the special task force is totally staffed. It's not a volunteer thing. It would definitely be just the team of a member of each department that would pull together for the emergency situation, or whatever scenario that would need special attention to as a priority. It wouldn't be volunteer in the community. It would be basically, just who are we going to rely on to pull together and organize what needs to be done.
Are you saying that a task force which is not voluntary, which is actually paid by what?
Staff, city staff, just a member from each department, and it's just an idea that a member from each department would take on the role of being that communication entity to bring together the necessary protocol or steps to make happen what needs to happen.
We already have that. I mean, that's what the police department and the fire department currently are.
An individual from each one, but moving on.
So
what
Trudy,
we need in a disaster situation is a little extra help, which is what the siren is, and which is what valued volunteers do to coordinate and assist with the actual shuffle during a disaster situation.
Okay,
However, the paid staff members are already paid, and they're on constant watch for coordinating their own effort.
Trudy, if you would send me what you found in your research, and I'll see if it bears to be put on a future agenda.
okay.
Could I interject?
Yeah.
I think we need some clarification of what this committee is about. Now, my understanding was to come together as a committee, come up with some ideas for the safety of all. And the reason I joined was Highway 58 safety, and give recommendations to the council.
Right.
Not get on committees that we're going to do this, that, and the other, because that's getting beyond the scope that I volunteered for.
Yeah, and that's why I think I need to look at it more closely, and if it's worthy, we will put it on a future agenda to talk about and discuss, and to see if we even want to go down this road. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds good.
So that's the new business. Is there any other new business? Okay. Hearing none, we'll move to public comment. There's no one other than committee members.
Wait, I do have one thing. I need the actual code of conduct review emailed to me as well, to make sure that my paperwork is in accordingly as well. Because the only thing I received was the resolution.
All right, I'll send you all a copy of the code of conduct in the email.
I have it.
Thank you. That way you have everything handy.
Okay. Anything else? Okay, we'll move to public comment. There's no one here at the fire department. Is there anyone on the Zoom that would like to say something? Please unmute and start talking. Nothing heard. If there's no other last cats or dogs, we will. Oh, we have one.
How about a public comment, even though I'm on the committee? Where does that come in at?
Let's just comment. Come on.
Come on.
Because getting back to what I said, I joined specifically because of my concern with Highway 58.
Okay.
And I'm going to put you on the spot here.
Okay.
I had a little meeting, something different up
Yeah.
at the, and you asked me to give you, because I had a list
Sure.
of stuff. And you said, well, if you get that to me, I'll get it on the agenda. Now, I've never come up anywhere.
Highway 58.
Yeah, and all due respect to you, because I like you.
So let's talk about Highway 58. So we've got the police department bringing in some speed advisory signs on either end.
Excellent.
And I don't know how far along that is. I know that they had selected a vendor. I think we're just waiting on getting them delivered. And they're they're the battery powered because they were the cheaper ones, but and a little more work for Public Works, but it's that way we could buy 2 instead of 1.
Okay.
So I think that's going to help. You know, our reserve police officers still hit it pretty heavily on the weekends. Our active, you know, patrol officers during the week, they are really on responding to calls. And it's not like they're sitting around,
Yeah.
and it's difficult for them to cut that time out to write tickets.
Because in my opinion, we still have a severe problem.
In some ways, the public spoke when they chose to not narrow the road, which would have slowed traffic down. And I got it. That's fine. That's their choice.
Yeah.
So I think, but that was an effort. That was an effort to slow down.
I had a suggestion from one of the citizens when the library was open regarding the possible way to slow down traffic along the highway, and that's to paint speed bumps, something that resembles a speed bump, like near the places where they need to slow down, like right by that crosswalk. So like, I don't know, 50 feet in front of it, you know, or so.
This road belongs to ODOT, and I don't believe ODOT's going to let you paint on their road.
Probably not, but I thought I'd throw it in there.
Okay. Thank you. So
You're welcome.
what more can we, you want to put something on the agenda about it? What do you want to talk about 58? I know the chief, well, actually one more thing. I know the chief is working on the citizen holding the radar gun thing.
Yeah.
So, but I think COVID extreme level has put that kind of on a hold, but I know that he's going to move on that when the COVID risk level allows,
Okay.
where you have a citizen that sits in a car and holds and actually you're gonna let them operate it so they can see what the speeds are. So that's one of the other things. So is there something else you want to put on the agenda?
Well, and it's a very simple, and a lot of people think it's stupid, but a lot of people that have seen it understand how it works. It's the positioning of 2 law officers' cars at each end of the town in a strategic place. When you see that cop car, you instantly go down to see what your speed is. And that's everyone. Them signs, excellent. West Hers got one.
I see it. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, and everywhere I go, I'm looking at this stuff. And all the little towns, Scottsburg, you know, bigger than this building, there's one there. And I don't know whether that's a state highway or ODOT or whatever. But why isn't ODOT doing something? They're all over at the Pines, got them.
As far as the signs,
Yeah. Now, who's responsible for
Well,
putting the bill on these?
we are, but the problem is, and the reason they're so expensive is they have to comply with ODOT and regulation standards. And as soon as you label standard on there, the price goes up. So,
Okay. 'Cause,
and
you know,
so if you look at the one in Westford, it's not on a state road. It's
yeah, it's county.
it's
Yeah.
county. So maybe the regulations are somewhat simpler. I don't know. So,
But it gets
yeah.
your attention. I just see
Yeah.
it right now.
let me, I'll circle back with the chief on the last thing you mentioned about, I know we have a shortage of cop cars, number one, and
Well, it broke down. You don't have to have one when it runs.
well, then you have to tow it everywhere you can put it,
You leave it there for six months.
depending on where you can find it's public property and,
Well, I'm
or
sure
someone
that-
that's willing to,
I'm sure there's a lot of, because a lot of business complain about the speed. I'm sure they would
Yeah.
allow you to get a written or verbal agreement with them. Yeah, because it works.
all right, let me bring it up with the chief and then I'll report back on the next meeting.
And I got a car trailer. I'll haul them right down there,
Okay,
put them in place.
That's
Okay.
good, Molly. I'll help you. I do want to mention that I have seen a lot more activity with our state police department too, pulling over, having flashing lights with vehicles pulled over. So I'm seeing a lot of more state activity too.
okay, thank you. Okay, anything else? All right, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you for attending.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
All right, thanks, guys.
Night. Thank you. Trying to find the lead.
Anyhow.